Hey, what's up, CSL? Today is a very exciting day. We're going to show you all what the new free agent system is going to look like, how you're going to go ahead and put in your bids and all that good stuff. Obviously, we're still a bit away from free agency, but want this out there just so you can kind of see it and learn it on your own time, and ask questions before we get started. I have with me here today Chris Cleesby, general manager of the Portland Trailblazers, who will not be above me in the standings next year. Thanks for setting this up, Chris.
No problem. Happy to be here and excited to see what you have.
Do you feel like proud, honored that you're the guy to get to be the first one to see how this all works?
It's a unique moment. I have to say I was excited until the point you said that John had already seen it. But no,
Well,
looking forward to this.
John, everyone always says I'm like especially you always call me like the dictator, the czar, whatever it is you call me. But really, I answer to John, so I have to get John's approval for everything.
John is the puppet master sitting behind then.
Absolutely, yeah. He lets me be the front man to be the one who gets publicly denounced when people don't like things, and then he sits there in the background and everyone loves him. All right, so this is what we're looking at right now. This is the form that everyone's going to fill out. The link to this form will be like everywhere in the free agent forum. Once we set it up, you'll get this link via PM on the site. Basically, you will not be able to not find this link. Like anytime you need it, you'll be able to find it. We'll have it everywhere. It'll be very easy to find. So when you come here, this is how you get started to submit your bid for your free agent. Now, in order to make sure that there's no fake bids being submitted for other teams and everything is on the up and up, we will be sending out everyone a specific free agent password. It'll be a randomized string of numbers that no one else will be able to guess, and therefore no one will be able to submit a bid for you. I do still recommend that you go ahead and check bids every now and then just to make sure no one accidentally somehow submitted one for you, but this should be a good enough system that we know who sent in each contract offer. So Chris, right now, just for the sake of this thing, just punch in whatever four numbers you like. Doesn't really matter.
There we go.
Here's a fake password. That's not a real password. Go ahead and put in the player name that you'd like to submit an offer to. Please use their exactly spelled the way it is in the game. It makes things so much easier for us on the back end if you put in the exact name. So go ahead and put in any player. Could be pick someone who's under contract. Don't pick someone who's a free agent. Perfect. You're not getting him, but that's okay. Also, that's not how you spell his name. So this is a perfect example
just testing
there's it'll let you in the form if you spell it wrong. It'll let you submit it. I can't put in that many text limiters. So just go ahead and if you could add the Y to his first name.
Yep.
It's JAYSON.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, so yeah, so just make sure you spell it right. We'll be able to fix it if you don't, but please don't make us do that. Starting salary. The only rule in this is there are no commas. It just has to be a string of numbers. So go ahead and put in whatever starting salary you want to give Tatum. Nice, easy number, 10 million. I like it. Go ahead and click how many years you'd like to give him. And remember, so this stuff right here is going to be mostly self-policed. Obviously, we're going to be looking it over and make sure all the contract offers are legitimate and they follow all the rules. And we'll go ahead and show you guys how you'll be able to see it as well, and you can raise things to our attention if you think we've missed anything. So here, obviously, this is an illegal contract that Portland is attempting to offer Jason Tatum because he can't offer a 5-year contract to my player, but that's okay. The raise percentage, just put in any number. It has to be below 7.5 because obviously that's the maximum. And right here, there you go. It has to be at least 3% if the starting salary is 8 million or higher. So perfect. Chris has put in 5%. Chris, would you like to put an option on this contract?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, perfect. Chris, are you going to use an exception for this contract?
Nope.
And then obviously if you say no, you're going to say none. If you say yes, then I need you to pick which exception that you're using because again, like I said, this will allow us to make sure that you're submitting a valid contract. So go ahead and submit.
Just an observation. In terms of the exceptions, it'd be quite useful when the CBAs agree to actually have the values here.
Absolutely, that is a great point. We'll go ahead and make sure the starting salary.
Just thinking ahead, it would avoid people putting errors in for salary amounts.
Right, or even just help people not have to look back and forth.
Yeah, exactly.
So, absolutely, we'll go ahead and make sure.
So should I hit submit?
Hit submit.
Okay.
And you'll get this screen right here that says, "Hey, your response has been recorded." Now, how do you make sure that your response has been recorded? How do you see the bids that are out there? The next tab that Chris has is going to be the sheet that everyone will have access to. Go ahead and open that up. And right there, you'll see there's the bid submitted. All of the straight up the raw offers are going to be in this first sheet here. We have to do some stuff on the back end to get the team and the total amount. So you won't see that right when you first submit it. However, about once or twice a day, the PAs and those of us supervising them will come onto our back end sheet and update it. So I'm going to do that right now. So you'll see what it'll look like once we've gone through and updated the sheet. 1 second. While I do that. And because you used a fake password, I'm just going to type that in. And it should update on your sheet in just a second.
Okay.
With the team and the total amount, you may need to refresh. Yeah, do me a favor and just refresh.
Yep.
Maybe just hit the refresh button. I don't know.
I don't think if that key works on here.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Why is this not updating? Okay, well, it should update. So go ahead and just we're gonna pretend that it updates. If it updates, it would say, like in here, it would say Portland. Okay, well, I'm gonna play around with this and try to get it to work, but theoretically here it would say Portland and it would say the total amount being offered. Now this is where you guys can come in and take a look and make sure that things are being done properly. So if you come in here, Chris, and you see someone else was offering Jason Tatum a contract like this, you could raise it to our attention if we haven't corrected it already and say, hey, they can't offer Jason Tatum 5 years, or they say they're using an exception, but they're not, or whatever the case is, So we don't need you guys to do that. We'll be doing it on our own, but this is just so you guys have access to all the offers and can see it and can see kind of like if we're making any mistakes, if anything's being overlooked, or if you think someone else is trying to do something shady, you guys can always raise that to our attention. Now, the other thing that the player agent and the people supervising them are going to be doing is we're going to be putting these player offers onto these other tabs. So if you look at the bottom, you'll see that there's 2 other sheets. There's players sorted by their name and sorted by the team name. And so, like I said, once a day or so, we're going to come in and just copy all the offers and paste them into these tabs. And then we'll go ahead and sort the tabs by the team name and by the player name. And then that way, you guys will be able to see all the offers that each player is receiving, all the offers that each team has sent out there. It'll be a little bit easier for you guys to go through that information as opposed to going through the raw offers, which will just be input as they're received. You get what I'm saying?
Yep, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yep. So I did make a mistake here in copying this stuff over, but that's okay because I'm still learning this system. And we're getting there. Okay. If I just there we go. So that should fix that. I'm going to sort by team name. Sort by player name. Okay. Now, if you go over to those tabs, go ahead and click on sorted by player first name.
Okay.
And you'll see right there at the top, there's the Jason Tatum offer. If there were more offers submitted for Jason Tatum, you would see all the offers for Tatum all in one place. And the same thing with the team name, we'd be seeing that as well in the team name section. So that's how you go ahead and see all the different offers that your team has submitted, that other teams have submitted, that a player has received. That way you can take a look and, hey, if you really want Jason Tatum, you can go ahead and see if other teams have submitted an offer for that player. Or if you want to see what the Clippers are doing with all their cap space, you can go ahead and look and see what the Clippers are offering to their teams, and just that way you can always see it. So it's really that simple. There's really not much else to it. We'll have threads on the forum for each player, and the player agents will update those from time to time with which offers the player is leaning towards, if the player is receiving an offer that he even likes at all, or if he's out there looking for other offers. Basically, we'll be updating that as well, so you'll be able to see with regular updates which way the player is leaning, and we'll go ahead and announce all the signings on that website, on the forum as well. Chris, do you have any questions about the way the form works, the way the sheet works, anything that you think that people might want to
know? No, nothing in particular. I guess it's down to the GM to make sure they're offering based on what cap they have available or what exceptions. Because obviously that used to be something that I think a lot of GMs would have just used the in-game options to see that. So I guess there's a little bit more ownership on the general manager to kind of manage that now.
Yeah, absolutely. So as always, we're going to have that stuff posted on the forum, who has which exceptions and that sort of thing. And for the people without the game, this won't feel like any different at all, because they had to keep track of that stuff anyway. Now we're just asking people with the game to track that stuff too, because obviously we really don't have a way of doing that with the form and the sheet. We're like I said, we're going to have all that information available to us behind the scenes, and we're going to be tracking that stuff closely so that there's no illegal signings.
That's good to hear. And the other question I have is around. So you mentioned obviously the signings will be posted on the forum. Obviously, one of the things that was discussed quite heavily in the thread that was going on was related to if you get a sense of whether a player's leaning or moving towards a certain bid, for example, so that teams, if they know they're definitely out of the running for a player, can, go and chase another player with a max contract, for example, if they had cap room. Have you got any indication of how that's going to be done yet, or is it still a little bit early for that to be announced?
So are you asking if like the contract offers are binding, or how teams can utilize their cap space? Can it utilize it to offer contracts to multiple players? Is that kind of what your question is?
Kind of, but also a little bit, not necessarily, because I think we kind of discussed that, but it's probably more along lines of, so say for example, I offered a max contract to a free agent this off season, and would that person get indications back from the player agent as to whether he's not considering him because of his play for winner status? Or
yeah. So that's going to be what's going to be put in that thread. So let's say you and 4 other general managers on the first day of free agency put in an offer for Jason Tatum. You'll get updates, like I said, regularly. These are going to be things that are going to be happening every day in the thread, stating Jason Tatum is basically considering the offers from these teams. This team is the front runner. He is not interested in signing with these teams at this time. That kind of information will be privy to you guys. Obviously, you don't see the interest level in the sheet. That is intentional. We don't want it to be a situation where people can see the interest level and therefore feel like they know exactly what the player is going to do. So it's just going to be a situation where we're going to have to give you guys that kind of information, because the other part of this is there is a greed rating as well, and obviously players with higher greed ratings may be more inclined to chase a higher value contract versus a team they might be as interested in. They may choose a team they're less interested in simply because there's more money being offered by the other team, and so that's why we don't want the information that public. But we will be updating you regularly And so if Jason Tatum was really not interested in signing with Portland, you would know that pretty soon after submitting the offer, and you'd be able to say, okay, well, let me go send an offer to someone else in that instance.
Okay, that's really interesting. And you kind of said there, but I'm guessing the ratings and personalities of players will almost sort of give a binary sort of number, and I guess it's a case of whether they're close or far apart as to whether the player will be interested in, one team,
Yeah,
four teams.
absolutely. So
Yeah,
basically, all of the formula is it spits out a rating, and you know a player doesn't necessarily need to be super interested in a team to sign there. Maybe the only two teams that offer to a player he's not particularly interested in, but he's got to sign somewhere, right? And so that's why it's kind of like more of a relative thing, and that's why we don't want that information, the interest level necessarily publicized, because you may submit an offer and see that the player is not at all interested in your team and get discouraged and go chase a different player. What if you're the only team to offer that player? Or what if the only other team that offers that player has an even lower interest rating? So it just comes down to it's all relative. And that's why we're going to be updating you guys so you'll get the real kind of thought process behind which way the player's leaning.
yeah, and I guess in terms of, obviously for the other thing I wanted to ask was in terms of speed of signings. So obviously we know there's gonna be players in free agency who are, everyone available who has a max salary offer is going to offer a maximum salary to them, and they're the easy decisions. But I guess in terms of how the PAs are going to manage sort of those middle tier players who might not necessarily be a max salary, they might have an offer on the table, but they could possibly hold out and get more, or they could hold out and get less. Is that going to be sort of down to the player agents to sort of make that decision, or is
Well,
it going to be
not just down to the player agent, but also to the player interest level as well. I mean, if a player receives a contract offer that the player agents think, hey, that's probably fair for that player. That's
yeah,
probably a good contract, and the interest level is through the roof. The player, in reality, if the player was a real person and not just a string of data, would probably want to accept that offer. If that's like, I really want to play for that team, and they're giving me a contract that's close enough, they'll probably accept that pretty quickly. Now, if a player receives an offer that is a good offer, but he doesn't want to play for that team, that's something that we might put out there and say, hey, Jason Tatum has not been really enthused in the teams that have been after him. He would really like to see what other offers are out there for him. And then that way teams will be able to see that and know, hey, maybe I have a chance at signing Jason Tatum because he doesn't like the offers he currently has. And that's kind of where the player agents will be doing their part to make sure that the players are fairly represented.
Okay, and I think that's really helpful. I guess it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, and it looks like it's going to be quite a slick system with the form and with the forum interaction, and hopefully it'll create some interesting media as well as teams try and sell or advertise their team as well, and try and explain the offers they're making. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a departure from what we're used to, and obviously anytime you have change, you're going to have probably interesting side effects. And I'm looking forward to seeing how everyone in the league takes to it.
Yeah, can't wait, and hopefully you'll get some interesting discussion off the back of this as well before free agency, and I'm sure it's going to be a nice slick system based on what we've seen today.
I'm absolutely sure we'll be getting lots of feedback on this. Chris, thanks for your time. Thanks for doing this with me. As always, guys, feel free to comment with your thoughts. Message me directly if you have anything you'd like to discuss. I'm always open to discussing the system.